Welcome back, everyone, to Northern High 420. Today we got the BAKx, and we're going to pack this one up right away. But this one, I tend to pack little chunks into it. Usually about 3 or 4. Just loosely pack them in the stem, and then we'll get this thing started. All right, so now that's all packed up, we're going to go over this device, and this device we're covering on the walk and talk today is the Lamart BAKx. Had this for about 5 months now. I own 2 of them. First one I got on the exchange, I paid a ridiculous amount of money for, $710. The second one I got off of Lamart, one of the auctions. It was a second hand or second quality. Got a little burning right here. And I paid $234 for this one and $100 for the mod, so not too bad, about $334. But typically these are hard to get. Why I don't take it serious in the battery discussion, because it's very hard to get, and that's kind of the problem with the BAKx. But other than that, it's a really good device with a couple problems. But we'll go over that right now. So let's go ahead and get this fired up. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. I'm gonna put it about 450. Fire it up. All right, so now it's just reaching temps. It's one of the quicker devices. It'll take about 30 seconds to heat up, maybe a little less. Another big cloud. Taste is really good on it when you get it right. But the downside to the BAKx really is it's not that easy to get right. I'd say 50-50. Dial it up. First time I hit it, no vapor. Second time I hit it, way too much. Kind of over roasted that bowl. So first pull down, not great. And that would be my main complaint with the BAKx is, unless you want to fiddle around with it a lot, it is a kind of a pain in the ass to use regularly. As far as using it as a portable, the layout kind of sucks because it's got the stem, doesn't really fit well in the pocket. This is definitely more of a home device or something maybe you bring over to a buddy's house or sit in the backyard with, but you're probably not going to pocket it. Be one of the other downsides to it. But overall, it's one of the nicer looking devices. But really, when you get down to it, it's a difficult one to use. It's not something I'd recommend to a new user. I think if you came from the 510 scene with Nick vapes, you're probably going to like it. Something you'd be used to is checking coil resistance. I do not. So for me, it's been kind of a struggle bus to use on a regular basis. Not something I really enjoy using unless I'm going to rip it on water or if I'm tasting a strain or something like that. But for the most part, I kind of pass on this one a lot. But I would consider it a top 5 vape based on when it does work right. You can't beat it. So that's kind of the caveats with this one. Things I do like about it, the airflow is pretty solid. If you pack the stem with the nug packing, you get good airflow with it. Hard to argue with that. Flavor is top notch, probably the best tasting vape period that I've tasted. His strength is up there with some of the best. I mean, it's up there with the Frolic, it's up with the Dynamite 2, the Solo 3. It does pretty much every category a little better than the rest of them, but it's a lot more finicky. I find myself either undercooking the weed a lot or overcooking it, which not really my favorite thing in the world. Then I'm just wasting weed and I'm repacking, I'm cleaning the stem when I combust, which I do quite often in this. So there's a lot of little issues with this one. If you're looking at picking one of these up, I would recommend probably going through the auction and grabbing one that way, because if you go on the exchange, you're going to pay a big time convenience tax on it. Probably have to turn around a lot with this one. He's kind of an erratic walker. But yeah, so I would recommend looking at the lottery system. If you follow Lamart on their Discord page, he does announce his drops. And the best way I can say to get one is to literally scroll down. Killing me, Preston. Literally scroll down and add one to the cart and see if you can buy it. If you spend too much time dicking around on that page, you're never going to get one. If you went through and picked out one that you like, you might get it if you try it and you're quick, but more than likely, someone else likes that one too. So I went random and I ended up with a second quality one, which I really don't care. That'd be kind of my recommendation if you're looking at getting one. And that's probably the biggest problem with the BAKx is can't get it. And then checking the resistance on the coil. You don't do that, you're gonna have all sorts of problems. When it does work great, it works amazing. Vibe to use on water. This thing fucking rips. It's great to use on water. Nice thing about it though is if you are gonna combust and you're getting close to combustion, you can remove the stem and hit it natively off the stem without even being in there, which is nice. It's a good way to save it from a combustion. You can kind of tell when it's about to do that. But overall, this is a vape that I'm going to include in my top 5. It'll be middle of the road in it. But safe to say, this is probably the best vape there is. And the most finicky vape there is at the same time. Which is not going to put it at my number 1 spot. It's not going to put it at my number 2 either. It's going to probably be in 3 or 4 because of those little things. And that's where I'm kind of at with the BAKx then. It's about 3 or 4. I'm still kind of working it out. I got the venti, I think, left to do, and then we're done with the battery portables for the high-end ones. Then we will be moving on to a battery budget roundup, which I got Planet of the Vapes to send me out a few tests. We got the Starry, the Planet of the Vapes 1, and the X-Max V4 or V3. I think the Starry's the V4. So we're gonna check those out. We're gonna compare it. We're gonna toss the Lobo in there. I'm gonna see if maybe we can get 1 or 2 more devices. And we'll do a similar thing with those as we do with these. So not a whole lot to say about the BAKx. With this one, I say exercise caution. Know what you're getting into when you're getting one. Don't buy one and expect it to be worry-free. You probably heard me say a few of them are no worries. This is not one of them. You want a no worries vape, you look at the Frog, the Venti, the Lobo, something in that regard. Even the Solo 3 is less of a pain in the ass. With this one, cleaning, this stem's pretty easy. You get the one with the balls. I have one with balls that the balls don't come out of. Talk about a nightmare to clean that one. Other than that, I do ISO swab the inside. And that's about it. Pretty easy to keep clean. The biggest thing on this one, I'll say this multiple times, is check the TCR. So when you're in the menu, you go down to settings, you probably can't see that. And then atomizer, and you scroll down to where it says check, and you click that, it's gonna set the coil resistance. Then you should be ready to go. 9 times out of 10, it works great. You forget to do that, you're probably either undercook or overcook it. For my experience, I was wondering if it was just me, but I actually talked to a few people, and it sounds like a lot of people have had similar experiences, which makes me kind of wonder when people talk about this vape, they act like it's like the greatest thing ever. It's nothing can beat it. Um, True, not true would be my point on that. I think this out flavors the rest of them. This can outpower the rest of them, but it's gonna probably cost you some herb in the process of dialing in. You're probably going to combust at times. You're probably gonna take a few hits to get no vapor, and then when you finally do, it's not gonna have much flavor because it kind of already burned the terpenes off. So a lot of little things. Now, begin to comparisons. I'm gonna stick with stem vapes. Tiny Mite 2 is probably the closest. Tiny Mite 2 is much faster on heat up. Taste is pretty similar. I think this one has a little more full flavor. Hit strength, pretty similar. This one has more power if you want it to. Vibe-wise on water, very similar. Both pull out, kind of like Tiny Mite 2 bowl. And this one you can to clear it, which is cool. Love the design. Tiny Mite 2 is more pocketable, even though I don't necessarily view the Tiny Mite 2 as a pocketable device because it's wood and then worry about the change in my pocket. Same deal here. Solo 3, similar again with everything. The flavor is probably more similar on this than it is, or probably more similar to the Solo 3 on this than Tiny Mite 2. You have a lot more, at least I believe you do, conduction heating going on here. So those two are pretty similar. The Solo 3 I combust less than this one, but the Solo 3 has where the herb drives to the bottom of the chamber and it's hard to get the flavor out. I don't have that problem with this. If I combust, it's easy to get the flavor back out of it. So call those pretty even. So yeah, the Solo 3 I would say is pretty similar. Save a lot of money, a little less hassle with the Solo 3. Pocketability again, about the same. Any of these stem vapes other than maybe the Lobo, because it's so short, I just find nonsense to stick in a pocket. That's about probably the closest direct comparison you're going to find between devices. The Tiny Mite 2 and the Soul 3 are most similar to this. We're going to go into a couple comparisons for his strength. This one is every bit as good as, say, a Tiny Mite 2, a Lobo, Solo 3, Taffy Bowl, Frolic, all hit up there in the upper echelon of vapors. This one's there, flavor same. Hits all the marks. You know, if you like fiddling around, this is the best vape. If you don't like fiddling around, this is one of the worst vape. So it's really I feel this one is super user preference. Then I'll be on to the budget roundup and the pocket dabbers. We're going to continue on down that path. We're going to start ramping up that content more. So one more bowl on this and then we're out of here. Nice little cloud. Definitely more dialed in on that one. Well, first time I did this, it was pretty high up there. You know, a massive cloud, and the second one felt a little combustion flavor. But luckily I pulled it in time. Another nice cloud. Tasted really good. There's a hit off the stem. But overall, a really great device when you get it right. Right now, it's dialed right in. It's working fantastic. Another big cloud. Probably going to call that good right about there. Overall, I would think hard about this one if you're going to buy one. Because of it's pretty finicky with the TCR settings. You have to do that or you're going to just be wasting bud. When you do get it right, it works great. So that's something I would think about before purchasing. But if that's something that you're okay with, Great device. Hard to beat. Probably the best device out there when you get it right. Till next time, see you later. Bye.